Dr. Maya Chen looked out the viewport as the human ship approached Nyx, home planet of the Viridians. The world below glowed with strange blue-green light, unlike anything on Earth. Maya touched the glass, her heart racing with excitement. After years of study, she would finally meet the mysterious aliens known throughout the galaxy for their beauty and logical minds. Final approach to Nyx Central Port, announced the ship's eye. Please prepare for landing procedures. Maya gathered her research materials and personal items. As the first human anthropologist invited to study Viridian culture directly, she carried the responsibility of representing Earth. The ship descended through pearly clouds toward a city that seemed built from crystal and light. The landing was smooth. Maya took a deep breath before the airlock doors opened with a soft hiss. The air that entered smelled faintly of something like cinnamon and ozone. 5 Viridians waited in the docking bay. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, with silvery skin that seemed to glow from within. Their large, almond-shaped eyes were various shades of silver and lavender. Maya had seen images, but they hadn't captured the ethereal quality of these beings. One Viridian stepped forward. "Welcome to Nyx, Dr. Chen. I am Tai, assigned as your guide and research partner during your stay." His voice was melodic but oddly flat, lacking the emotional fluctuations of human speech. Maya smiled broadly. "Thank you for welcoming me. I'm honored to be here." Tay's head tilted slightly. "Your facial expression indicates happiness, yet your voice pattern shows nervous excitement. Fascinating contradiction." Maya laughed. "Not a contradiction. Humans often feel multiple emotions at once. I'm both happy and nervous." "Inefficient, but interesting," Tai remarked, then gestured toward the exit. "Please follow me to your quarters." Maya followed Tai through hallways of polished stone that seemed to change color as they walked. Other Viridians they passed stopped to watch her with curious eyes. She noted their movements, graceful but precise, like dancers performing carefully choreographed steps. "Your species exhibits unusual physical responses to stimuli," Tai observed as they walked. "Your breathing rate increases, your skin flushes, your pupils dilate, all without apparent cause." "It's excitement," Maya explained. "Physical signs of emotional response. Don't Viridians experience similar reactions?" "We experience physiological changes based on environmental needs, not emotional states," Tai replied. "Emotion is considered an evolutionary remnant, largely bred out of modern Viridians." Maya stopped walking. "Bred out? Not evolved naturally." Todd paused, his silver eyes studying her. An imprecise choice of words. "Evolution selected against emotional expression in our species. It proved inefficient for societal harmony." Something about his explanation didn't feel right to Maya, but she nodded politely. She would have time to learn more. The next morning, Maya began her official work. In a large chamber filled with Viridian scientists and officials, she gave her presentation on human culture. As she described Earth's diversity of art, music, and literature, she noticed the Viridians watching her with increasing intensity. "Humans create art primarily to express and evoke emotion," she explained, displaying images of famous paintings. "This piece often brings tears to human eyes because it captures the feeling of loss so powerfully." "You deliberately create objects to cause distress?" asked one Viridian. "Not distress exactly," Maya replied. "The emotion helps us process our own experiences. There's beauty in that shared understanding." She played a recording of a violin concerto. As the music filled the room, Maya closed her eyes briefly, moved by the haunting melody. When she opened them, she found Ta watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Later, as Tai escorted her back to her quarters, he asked, "The vibrations in that audio recording cause your eyes to produce water. Were you malfunctioning?" Maya smiled. "No, those were tears of appreciation. Beautiful things move humans physically. Purposeful emotional stimulation," Ta said thoughtfully. "Our historical records suggest primitive Viridians may have had similar responses before we evolved toward logical processing. May I see these historical records? Maya asked. Some are restricted, Tay replied too quickly. But I can show you approved cultural archives tomorrow. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Something about Viridian society felt carefully constructed rather than naturally evolved. She reviewed her notes, adding questions to investigate. Unknown to Maya, Tai sat alone in his research chamber, reviewing recordings of her presentation. He replayed the moment when her eyes shimmered with tears during the music. His monitoring system detected his own elevated heart rate and unusual brain activity as he watched. Analyze anomalous physiological response, he commanded his personal AI. Analysis indicates activation in dormant neural pathways. The AI responded. Pattern consistent with pre-harmony protocol emotional centers. Tai quickly deleted the analysis and shut down the system. He sat in the darkness, his hand unconsciously moving to his chest, where an unfamiliar sensation had begun. A warming, quickening feeling whenever he thought of the human researcher and her passionate descriptions of beauty. Curious, he whispered to himself. Most curious indeed. Tay led Maya through the curved hallways of the Nyx Cultural Center. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that made the Viridians' silvery skin shimmer. Maya noticed that several other Viridians stopped to watch them pass, their large eyes following her with undisguised curiosity. Your presence has created quite a stir among my people, Ta said. Many have requested to observe our cultural exchange sessions. Maya smiled. I'm just as curious about them as they are about me. They entered a spacious room where Ta had arranged a display of Viridian artifacts, geometric sculptures, data crystals containing literature, and musical instruments that looked like glass harps. I've prepared examples of our artistic achievements, Tai explained. Though I must clarify that we create these for functional purposes, not emotional ones. Maya ran her fingers over a crystal harp. May I? Ta nodded. Maya strummed the instrument gently, producing a sound like wind through ice. She closed her eyes, letting the strange tones wash over her. Beautiful, she whispered. When she opened her eyes, she found Ta watching her intently, a faint purple flush visible beneath his silver skin. Now, Maya said, would you like to experience some human culture? From her bag, she pulled out small items from Earth, a book of poetry, a chocolate bar, a small music player. She handed the chocolate to Ta, who examined it cautiously. It's food, Maya explained. But we don't eat it just for nutrition. We eat it for pleasure. Tay took a small bite. His eyes widened, and the purple flush deepened. The chemical composition is causing unusual sensory responses, he said, but took another bite. Maya smiled and turned on the music player. The sound of a piano filled the room, playing a piece by Chopin. She closed her eyes again, swaying slightly with the music. This is how humans often respond to music, she explained. We feel it in our bodies. She opened her eyes to find Ta standing very still, his head tilted slightly. Something about his posture seemed different, less rigid than usual. Your heart rate has increased, he observed. As has mine. I find this noteworthy. Over the next few days, Maya introduced Ta to more aspects of human culture. They watched films, listened to different types of music, and she even taught him simple dance steps. With each experience, she noticed subtle changes in him. More fluid movements, occasional inappropriate pauses in conversation, as if distracted by internal thoughts, and most tellingly, the frequent purple flush that appeared on his face and neck. A week into their cultural exchange, they were invited to a diplomatic reception with representatives from various galactic species. Maya wore a formal Earth dress, while Ta wore the traditional Viridian robes of silver and blue. You look different, Ta said when he saw her. The change in covering alters your appearance significantly. Maya laughed. Thank you. That's part of the point of fashion. The reception was held in a grand hall with transparent walls that revealed the glittering cityscape of Nyx. Representatives from a dozen worlds mingled, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of galactic life. Maya was speaking with a group of Viridian scientists when a tall, insect-like diplomat from Proxia joined them. "Ah, the human specimen," the Proxian said, mandibles clicking. "I've been studying your species' so-called art. Such primitive emotional indulgence has no place in advanced civilizations. The Viridians wisely outgrew such weaknesses centuries ago." Before any of the Viridians could respond, Maya felt a flash of anger. "Art isn't primitive," she said firmly. "The ability to create and appreciate beauty is one of the most advanced capacities of any species. Emotion isn't weakness. It's a different kind of strength. It drives innovation, builds connections, and gives meaning to existence." The Proxian's compound eyes gleamed. Typical emotional response. This is why humans remain confined to their single system while logical species expand across the galaxy. Actually, Kai's voice cut in unexpectedly. Recent studies suggest emotional intelligence correlates with creative problem-solving. Human expansion has been limited by technology, not capacity. Their emotional range may prove advantageous for long-term species development. The room fell silent. A Viridian publicly defending human emotional expression was unprecedented. The Proxian clicked its mandibles in disapproval and moved away. The Viridian scientists looked at Ta with something close to shock. Later, as Ta walked Maya back to her quarters, she asked, "Did you mean what you said about emotional intelligence?" Ta was quiet for a moment. "I have been experiencing unusual neural activities since beginning our cultural exchange." When the Proxian spoke, I felt an unexpected response. My body temperature increased. My thought patterns became disrupted. "We call that getting angry," Maya said softly. "Impossible. Viridians do not experience anger." "Don't they? Or aren't they supposed to?" Tai stopped walking. "I accessed restricted historical archives yesterday. I found references to something called the Harmony Protocols. Before these protocols, Viridian literature contains many references to emotional states similar to those you describe." Maya's pulse quickened. "What were these protocols?" "I couldn't access that information," Ta said. "But something in your music, your art, it activates neural pathways that should be dormant in Viridians." He hesitated, then added in a lower voice, "And I am not the only one affected. Others who have interacted with you report similar experiences." Maya stared at him. "Ta, what if emotion wasn't evolved out of Viridians? What if it was deliberately suppressed?" Tay's silver eyes met hers. "Then your presence here may be more disruptive than anyone anticipated." Maya stood with Tai in a small hidden chamber deep beneath the Nyx central archives. The room was dusty and clearly hadn't been entered in decades. Glowing data crystals lined the walls, their light dim from lack of use. "How did you find this place?" Maya whispered, though there was no one else around to hear them. "An old map in my family records," Tai replied. "My ancestor was a keeper of historical data before the final implementation of the Harmony Protocols." Maya ran her fingers over the ancient crystals. "Can we access the information?" Ta nodded and removed a small device from his robes. He connected it to one of the crystals, which brightened in response. A holographic display appeared in the air between them, showing Viridians from centuries ago. Unlike the controlled, reserved beings Maya had met, these Viridians were dancing, embracing, and displaying obvious emotions. "This is impossible," Ta whispered, but his voice contained an emotion Maya hadn't heard from him before. Wonder. The hologram shifted to show medical diagrams of the Viridian brain. Maya couldn't read the text, but the images clearly showed a medical procedure. "Neural reconfiguration," Ta translated. "The Harmony Protocols weren't just social guidelines. They physically altered our brains to suppress emotional responses." "But why?" Maya asked. Another crystal revealed the answer: images of a devastating war. Viridians fighting Viridians, cities burning, millions dead. "The Passion War," Tai read. "Our emotions led to conflict based on ideological differences. Rather than find balance, our leaders chose to eliminate the capacity for strong emotion entirely." Maya touched his arm gently. The procedure wasn't complete in everyone, was it? That's why you're responding to human art and music. The pathways are dormant, not destroyed. Tay's hand moved to cover hers, the first time he had initiated physical contact. The procedure has weakened over generations. That's why the Council limits contact with emotional species. They left the archives with downloaded data, careful to hide their discovery. Over the next days, Ta began to experience more pronounced emotional responses. During a music session in Maya's quarters, where she played Earth classical compositions, he suddenly gasped and pressed his hands to his chest. Ta, are you all right? Maya rushed to his side. The sound waves. They're creating physical sensations, he said, like energy flowing through my body. Is this what you feel when you listen to music? Maya nodded. It's emotional resonance. The music is making you feel something. It's overwhelming, he whispered. But I don't want it to stop. Word spread quietly among younger Viridians. Jin, a medical researcher, approached them after a public lecture. I heard you've been exploring human emotional expressions, Jin said quietly. I've been experiencing unusual neural activity since attending your presentations on Earth art. You're not alone, Ta told him. Many of us are awakening to suppressed abilities. A small group began meeting secretly in Maya's quarters. They listened to music, viewed Earth art, and practiced expressing the emotions they began to feel. Maya watched in amazement as the Viridians slowly change, their movements becoming more fluid, their speech patterns developing inflection, their silver faces showing subtle expressions. Tai changed the most dramatically. One evening, as Maya showed the group how humans dance to music, he actually laughed, a sound no Viridian had made in centuries. The room fell silent in shock. Ta covered his mouth, his eyes wide. What was that sound I just made? He asked. Laughter, Maya said, smiling broadly. It's how humans express joy. Joy, Tay repeated. I know the concept but never understood the experience until now. Not everyone welcomed these changes. Elder officials began to notice differences in the younger Viridians who had contact with Maya. During a research presentation, Jin used emphatic hand gestures and vocal inflections, behaviors considered inappropriate in Viridian society. The council summoned Tai to explain these concerning developments. When he returned to Maya's quarters, his face showed a new emotion. Fear. They're monitoring us, he said. They believe human influence is destabilizing our society. They mentioned sending you back to Earth. Would that be so wrong? Maya asked. If emotions are natural to your species, you don't understand. Tai interrupted, another newly developed behavior. Emotional expression without proper understanding could be dangerous. Our ancestors nearly destroyed themselves with unchecked passion. Maya took his hands in hers. Then we teach balance, not suppression. Humans have learned to channel emotions constructively. Your people can too. That night, Tay experienced his first dream, images and sensations flooding his mind during sleep cycles that had always been empty before. He dreamed of flying through clouds, of dancing with Maya, of colors he had never seen. He woke with tears on his face. Another first. Are you okay? Maya asked, having come to check on him after receiving his urgent message. I believe I experienced joy and sadness simultaneously, he said wonderingly. Is that possible? Maya nodded, wiping away one of his tears with her finger. It's called being moved. It happens when something affects us deeply. Ta looked at her with new understanding. The council fears what's happening to us. But I can't go back to how I was before. Even if they send you away, I've awakened to something that was always part of me. Maya squeezed his hand. Then we need to show them that emotion doesn't have to lead to destruction. It can lead to creation instead. Maya stood beside Ta before the imposing silver doors of the Viridian High Council chamber. Their small group of emotionally awakened Viridians waited behind them, including Jin and several others who had joined their movement. Are you certain about this? Maya asked quietly. Tay's silver eyes met hers, showing determination, an expression that would have been impossible for him weeks ago. "Our people deserve to know the truth," he replied. The doors slid open. Inside, 7 elder Viridians sat in a semicircle on raised platforms. Their faces were completely expressionless, their posture perfect. Maya noticed how unnatural they now seemed compared to Tai and his friends. Elder Suk, the head counselor, spoke first. "Researcher Tai, you have requested this hearing to present findings related to the Human Cultural Exchange Program." "Yes, Elder," Ta said, stepping forward. "We have discovered information about our own history that has been hidden from the Viridian people." He activated a small device, and the historical images they had found in the archives appeared as holograms in the center of the room. The council members stiffened visibly at the sight of ancient Viridians dancing, laughing, and showing strong emotions. "These records predate the Harmony Protocols," Tai explained. "They show our true nature before the emotional suppression procedures." Elder Suk's voice remained level, but Maya detected a slight tension. "These archives were sealed for the protection of our society. The emotional instability of our ancestors nearly destroyed our civilization. We've been told that our evolution selected against emotional expression," Ta continued. "But that was a lie. Our brains were artificially altered to remove emotional capacity." Jin stepped forward with medical scans. "I've compared brain patterns of Viridians exposed to human cultural expressions with historical medical records. The neural pathways for emotional processing still exist in all of us. They were suppressed, not eliminated." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Maya noticed more Viridians had entered to watch the proceedings, many of them younger citizens. The Harmony Protocols were implemented after the Passion Wars. Elder Suk acknowledged. "Our ancestors made a difficult choice to ensure the survival of our species. A temporary measure that became permanent," Maya said, speaking for the first time. "According to the records we found, the emotional suppression was meant to last a single generation, giving time for new conflict resolution strategies to develop." Ta displayed another hologram, the original document authorizing the Harmony Protocols. It clearly states the procedure was a temporary emergency measure, not a permanent alteration of our species. Elder Suk stood. "The Council is aware of the original intent. However, each generation of leaders determined that our society functioned more efficiently without the chaos of emotional influence." "Efficiency isn't everything," Tay replied. His voice carried a new quality, passion. "We've lost art, music, deep connection, and creativity. Our advancement has stalled because we prioritized order over innovation." "What would you have us do?" asked another council member. "Reverse centuries of stability. The emotional awakening you're experiencing is unpredictable and potentially dangerous." Jin stepped forward with another set of data. "We've been monitoring our own neural changes. With proper guidance, emotional awakening can be managed safely. The human, Dr. Chen, has been helping us understand and balance our emerging feelings." Maya watched as the council members exchanged glances. She sensed their fear. Perhaps the one emotion the Harmony Protocols hadn't fully eliminated. Elder Suk turned to Maya. "Human, what interest do you have in changing our society? What does Earth gain from this disruption?" Maya took a deep breath. "Earth gains nothing. But as an anthropologist, I believe every species has the right to know its true history. The Viridians, I've come to know, deserve the choice about who they want to be." A commotion at the back of the chamber interrupted the hearing. Several security officials entered, surrounding a very elderly Viridian who moved slowly with a walking aid. "Elder Miso," Ta whispered to Maya. "The oldest living Viridian. He rarely leaves his residence." The ancient Viridian approached the council platform. When he spoke, his voice wavered with age. "I remember," he said simply. The chamber fell silent. "I was a child when the protocols were implemented." Elder Miso continued. "Too young for the full procedure. I remember what it felt like to laugh, to cry, to love." He turned to face the gathered crowd. I have watched for 2 centuries as our people forgot what it means to truly live. We survived, yes, but at what cost? Elder Suk seemed shaken. The risk. There is always risk in living. Elder Miso interrupted. Our ancestors made a choice out of fear. Perhaps it is time for their descendants to make a new choice. Maya felt Ta's hand slip into hers. She turned to find him looking at her with an expression she had never seen on a Viridian face before, but one she recognized instantly. I believe I am experiencing what humans call love, he said softly, meant only for her. It is overwhelming, frightening, beautiful. Maya felt tears form in her eyes. That's exactly what love feels like. Elder Miso approached them, looking at their joined hands. I remember this too, he said with the ghost of a smile. The most powerful feeling of all. He turned back to the council. I move that we share the full truth with all Viridians and develop a program for the safe restoration of our emotional heritage. Not all at once, but gradually, with care and wisdom. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Maya watched as Viridians throughout the room began expressing opinions with gestures and raised voices, behaviors that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. Whatever they decide, Ta said, squeezing Maya's hand, we cannot go back to what we were before. The awakening has begun. 6 months after the council hearing, Maya sat on a bench in Nexus Central Park, watching Viridians of all ages participate in what they now called emotional integration therapy. Under the purple-leaved trees, groups practiced expressing feelings through movement, art, and music. They're making remarkable progress, said Jin, who had become the head of the new emotional health department. The once rigidly formal medical researcher now wore colorful clothes and smiled easily. More naturally than I expected, Maya agreed. It's as if their bodies remember what their minds forgot. In the center of the park, a group of Viridian children, the first generation raised without the harmony protocols, played a game involving singing and dancing. Their laughter rang out, high and clear, a sound rarely heard on Nyx until recently. The council's gradual approach was wise, Jin said, beginning with the youngest, whose brains are most adaptable, then slowly working with adults based on their readiness. Maya nodded. The Viridian Council, now including younger members, and led jointly by Elder Miso and Ta, had implemented a careful plan. The neural suppression was being gradually reversed through targeted medical treatments, followed by cultural and psychological support. Earth has approved extended diplomatic relations. Maya told Jin, we're sending artists, musicians, and emotional intelligence coaches to help, and accepting Viridian students to study on Earth. A cultural renaissance, Jin said with a smile. The purple flush that once indicated emotional activation in Viridians had become a common sight, no longer something to hide or fear. Maya checked the time. I should go. Ta's presentation at the academy starts soon. She made her way through the transformed city. Buildings once austere and colorless now displayed art and color. Music drifted from open windows. Viridians greeted each other with smiles, and sometimes even hugs, a practice they had adopted from humans. At the Academy of Science and Arts, formerly just the Academy of Science, Maya slipped into the back of a crowded lecture hall. Ta stood on the stage, discussing the biological basis of emotion. His presentation style had completely transformed. He moved energetically, used hand gestures, and spoke with the natural rises and falls of emotional speech. Emotion and logic are not enemies, he was saying. They evolved as complementary systems. Logic helps us analyze information, while emotion helps us determine what information matters and why. A young Viridian raised a hand. But weren't the passion wars caused by emotional instability? An excellent question, Tay replied. Our research into the actual historical records shows the wars were caused by emotional suppression, not expression. The first generation of suppressed Viridians still had emotional impulses, but lacked the skills to understand or communicate them. The complete suppression came after, as a misguided solution. After the lecture, Ta found Maya waiting outside. His face lit up. Another expression once impossible for Viridians, and he embraced her warmly. "The Earth Council has approved my visa," he told her excitedly. "I can visit your world for a full year of research exchange." Maya's heart leaped. "That's wonderful. When do you leave?" "We leave in 2 weeks," he corrected. "They've requested you continue as cultural liaison." They walked together through the evening streets of Nyx toward the ocean. The beach had become a favorite gathering place for emotionally awakened Viridians who found the changing tides and crashing waves emotionally stirring. "Are you nervous about visiting Earth?" Maya asked. Ta considered this. Learning to identify and name emotions had been one of the biggest challenges for awakened Viridians. Excited, nervous, curious. "Yes, all of those," he said. "Your world is so emotionally intense. 6 months ago, I would have found it overwhelming. And now?" He smiled. "Now I'd welcome the experience, though I may need your help navigating some situations." They reached the shore as Nyx's 3 moons rose, casting silvery light across the water. Other Viridians walked along the beach, some alone in contemplation, others in pairs or groups, talking animatedly. "The council reviewed the latest societal health metrics today," Ta said. "Crime rates remain unchanged. Productivity has actually increased in creative fields. And the first survey of happiness shows positive results." "Happiness," Maya repeated. "Something unmeasurable 6 months ago is now a metric for success." Ta took her hand, his touch warm and familiar now. "There's something I need to say, Maya. Something I've been practicing." She turned to face him, curious. "When we first met, I thought human passion was inefficient and puzzling," he began. "Now I understand it's the most efficient thing of all. It gives meaning to everything else. The feelings I have for you." He paused, still finding some emotions difficult to express. "They make everything brighter, more significant." "That's love," Maya said softly. "Yes," Tai agreed. "A word I once knew only as a concept, now an experience I feel in every cell. When I think of Earth, I'm curious about the planet, but what I truly want is to experience your world with you, through your eyes." As the waves crashed around them, Tai reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object, a ring crafted from Viridian crystal and Earth silver. "I studied human bonding rituals," he said. "This one seemed most fitting." Maya felt tears of joy forming. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "I still have much to learn about emotion," Ta said, his voice trembling slightly. "But I want to learn it with you, not just as a researcher, but as a partner." As Maya said yes, Ta's skin glowed with happiness, a new Viridian trait that had emerged with their emotional awakening. Around them, other Viridians politely pretended not to notice, but their own subtle glows revealed their empathetic joy. 2 worlds, once separated by an emotional chasm, had found a bridge, and for Tai and Maya, it was just the beginning.